Before I became a parent, I was completely convinced I would sleep train. It sounded logical and efficient, and I was fully on board. And then there I was, holding my baby at 2 a.m., and I held her close. And I just knew at that moment I didn't want to put her down. I wanted to protect her and make her feel safe. That moment set me down a path that completely changed how I understand parenting, attachment, and what children actually need to feel secure. Hi, my name is Leslye. I'm a firefighter and a mom of 2. On this channel, I share what I've learned about parenting, nervous system regulation, and building strong, secure relationships inside the family. Because parenting isn't just about managing behavior, it's about shaping the emotional environment our children grow up in. If this is something you care about too, subscribe and follow along. So in previous episodes, we've talked about regulating ourselves, reframing our triggers, and repairing ruptures. Now we're going to go a little deeper into something that shapes everything. And to me, it's the root of everything: safety and attachment. There are so many parenting styles out there with so many different philosophies, systems, and approaches. So I just want to say this clearly before I share our experience. I'm not here to tell anyone that there's only one right way. What I can share is what I chose. And with the support of my partner, our family, and our support system, I was able to carry on this way of caring for our children. So parenting isn't just a set of techniques. It's relationship building. It's influencing the developing brain and building a new blueprint so we don't pass down generational traumas. Over the years, I started learning about the work of people like Dr. Sears, Erica Komisar, Dr. Gabor Mate, who speaks about how deeply attachment affects a child's neurological development. And I also came across a very different perspective from Don Miguel Ruiz in The Mastery of Love. So these have different traditions, but they all point to the same idea. Children are not born broken. They are born whole, curious, present, and naturally loving. The environment around them either protects them or slowly teaches them to hide it. And the realization became a big turning point for me as a parent, because I started asking myself deeper questions like, how do I protect that? How do I protect their innocence and keep their pure love and curiosity? How do I raise children who keep their belief in themselves as they grow? And the more I ask, the more I realize I was raising them with my instincts and unconditional love. And in doing that, I was also trusting myself and loving myself more. But interestingly, that was not my original plan. Before I was even pregnant, people were telling me how great sleep training was. When I was pregnant, every time I was at the dog park, I would hear it again. Sleep training is the best. It's everything. You'll thank me later. And I was sold. It made sense. It made complete sense. Sleep is one of the most important things. And then I had my baby. And when she cried at night, I couldn't ignore it. My instincts were really strong, and it just didn't feel natural to hear my baby cry and choose not to respond. And I thought about something really kind of simple. When I have a bad dream as an adult, or I'm sleepless and restless, I roll over and I reach for my partner. Even if I don't wake him up fully, I just check in to make sure he's there, because I feel safe. I feel comforted. It's a very comforting feeling. And I wanted that reassurance that I'm safe, that it was just a dream. So to expect a baby with an undeveloped nervous system to cope alone in distress just didn't align with my instincts. So we chose co-sleeping. And practically, it was just way easier for me to roll over, nurse, and fall back asleep than to get up, walk to another room, nurse, put her down, and then back to my room. So that worked for us. My sleep was broken at night, definitely, but I napped whenever my baby napped. And yeah, that also meant that the house was a little less clean. Laundry wasn't put away neatly, and I was making 5-course gourmet meals. And to me, the more important thing was the connection, our connection and my sleep. So yeah, I chose to sleep during the day and whenever I could. I was also really lucky that we had a really good support system. So my partner and my family would help out around the house whenever they can. So that might mean that they make a meal instead of me making all the meals. And we were really privileged to be able to do this. Both my partner and I are no strangers to interrupted sleep since we're both firefighters. And we would actually joke about those early months that we were working at Adelaide, which is like one of the busiest fire halls in the country, except we didn't get a day off. And our nervous systems were already familiar with functioning on really low sleep. Is that good for you? Would I advocate that? No. But we understand what that is and how to make it work by taking lots of naps during the day, resting whenever we can. So I completely understand how chronic sleep interruption for someone who has never experienced it would feel brutal on the system, because it is. It is very hard. And it affects our regulation, patience, and mood. But for us, the deeper question was, what builds long-term security? And attachment theory is actually simple at its core. When a child knows their parent is available, they explore more freely because independence is built on security, roots before wings. This is something Gabor Mate talks about often, that children borrow the nervous system of the adults who care for them. Before they can regulate themselves, they regulate through us. When our connection is predictable, when comfort is accessible, the child's nervous system learns something really fundamental, that the world is safe enough to explore. When a child knows deeply that connection is there, curiosity expands, exploration increases, and autonomy grows naturally. And we've seen that in our own home. So co-sleeping was about responding to the needs so independence could develop later from a very stable base. It means we prioritize connection early so autonomy has somewhere solid to grow from. Strong roots build strong independence. When our children know that they are safe at night, safe in distress, and safe when overwhelmed, they feel safe to feel and express all their emotions. They become secure and they explore more. We don't force independence upon them. It stems from reliable connection. And this extends beyond sleep because it applies to all emotions and how we respond when they're scared. So what we're actually building is a nervous system that knows connection returns no matter what, and that's unconditional love. And when that connection is stable, confidence, which is self-trust and self-love, grows. Roots before wings. That's the philosophy. So if you want to go deeper into the research behind this, I've put together a playlist of expert conversations on attachment and nervous system development. You can find it linked below. And this is where my mission as a parent became really clear. My mission is to preserve the innocence and real love of my children, to teach them how to deeply love themselves, to regulate when needed, and believe in their dreams. I do this through my own actions so they have a role model to learn from. And I invite other parents on this journey because when we understand how attachment works, we start seeing childhood very differently. As parents, we don't just shape behavior, we shape the emotional environment our children grow up in. And when the connection becomes the foundation of that environment, something powerful happens because children don't just learn how to behave. They learn how to feel safe in themselves. And that safety becomes the root system for everything that comes later. Confidence, resilience, and the ability to build strong relationships throughout their lives. So if this conversation resonates with you and you want to go deeper into these ideas, I've created a full masterclass where I walk through the framework behind present parenting in much more detail. You'll find the link below, along with the workbook that goes with it, so you can start applying these ideas into your own family. And if conversations about parenting, nervous system regulation, and emotional leadership inside the family matter to you, consider subscribing and follow along, because this is just the beginning of the series. In the next episode, we're going to explore something closely related, how children begin to slowly lose their natural sense of openness and innocence, and how emotional wounds can begin forming much earlier than most of us realize. We'll look into a powerful story from the Mastery of Love that shows even ordinary moments between parents and children can shape the emotional pattern people carry for decades, and why learning to regulate ourselves, especially in moments of pressure, matters so much. I'll see you at the next one. Have a lovely day.